Hi Kneaders fans, my name is Trish. I'm a district manager with Kneaders here in Utah, but as you maybe can hear a little bit from my accent, I'm not originally from Utah. I was born and raised in Ireland. All my family's actually still over there and I'm the only one here. So there's certain things that I do and certain things that I make that remind me of home. One of the most traditional ones is actually my Nana Noone's brown bread recipe, and is a family recipe that was handed down from my dad's mom, hence Nana Noone. Her name was Tilly, and this year I actually welcomed in a brand new niece, and they actually called her Tilly in remembrance of my Nana. This recipe starts with a pound of whole wheat flour. What I found is that the whole wheat flour in the States is a little bit more finely ground than what we're used to at home. So to give it a little bit more body, I usually add a tablespoon of flax seeds and a tablespoon of ground flax. Just gives it a little bit more bite. To that, I'm adding 1 pound of self-raising flour. I'm also adding a teaspoon of sugar, a teaspoon of salt, and a teaspoon of baking soda to give it that traditional soda bread feel. Then I'm just going to combine my dry ingredients. Make sure they're thoroughly mixed. And then we'll add the wet. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to actually add 4 ounces of butter to this dry mixture. Best way to get it in there, mix it in by hand. My Nana and even my mom had this great saying that you could taste your humor or your mood by the levity of your bread in terms of how light you keep your hands. All right, that'll do. So to our butter flour mixture, we're actually going to add 2 whisked eggs and then approximately 2.5 cups of milk. I'm afraid I eyeball it, so. And we'll add more milk as necessary depending on the dough. You don't want to add too much liquid, just enough so that the bread comes together. All right, just a little bit more milk. So this recipe actually makes enough for 2 loaves of bread, one for now and one for later. This bread actually freezes really, really well, so definitely an opportunity to save some for later on. So all we're gonna do then is actually turn the dough out onto a floured work surface. Unlike other breads, it's not quite so sensitive to the amount of flour that you have on your surface, so it's okay to go ahead and liberally flour. This bread doesn't need an awful lot of forming or kneading. All you're gonna do is tighten it in a little bit through the bottom, forming a nice round, flattening out slightly with your palm, but then keeping in mind the most important part of the process, which is to make the sign of the cross. You gotta make the sign of the cross across the top of the bread. Actually helps significantly in how the bread rises and how it cooks. But one of the other big traditions is making sure that you also take the time to let the fairies out of the bread. Irish culture is still pretty loaded with fairy culture, so you always want to make sure you give each of the corners a little bit of a prick to let the fairies out. Then all we're going to simply do is place the round onto a lightly floured pan, and then it actually goes in the oven for approximately 40 to 50 minutes at 365 degrees, or until it reaches an internal temperature of 190 degrees. This is what the finished product is going to look like. As you can see, it's a pretty rustic loaf. One of the best ways to enjoy Irish brown bread. It's fresh from the oven with some great butter on it. I personally have a preference of some butter from a place called Kerry, but you can enjoy it whichever way you want. A great thing we do in our family is we have it on St. Patrick's Day with some butter, some really good smoked salmon, drizzle a little bit of lemon. Promise you it's the best way you'll ever enjoy smoked salmon in your life. Thanks so much for letting me share this family recipe with you, and just want to wish you all a very, very happy St. Patrick's Day. Agus lá féile daobh go léir. Gur maith agaibh.